This is Deborah Atkinson, and you're listening to the Voice for Fitness Professionals podcast, where I help you with marketing and sales so it's easy and it's not pushy, salesy, or sleazy. And that sounded like a Dr. Seuss rhyme and wasn't meant to. But today, I'm going to dive into a really short point and try to keep this podcast. I know I'm long winded, but I'm going to try to keep this podcast between 10 and 15 minutes. So go me. What I want to talk to you today is about video. So here's what I'm seeing over and over and over with my inbox. And quite often I subscribe to personal training business or fitness business newsletter to watch what they're doing, to kind of look over the shoulder and see, if I were a customer, how effective is that? And is every email a fit for me? Does the subject line, first of all, make me want to open it? Does the email actually deliver valuable content, or is it just always a promotion, a promotion, a promotion? So pretty soon I'm just going to stop, reading and delete, because unless I wanted personal training and I already knew it, and I'm just going to wait and take advantage of a sale when you discount what I already am going to buy, there's no reason for me to open an email if you're not providing value. So let's get past that, because what I want for you is for you to condition those people that you worked hard to make the sale and to ideally have them opt in for your email. You don't want to be adding people automatically, at least not without giving them what's called an indoctrination series or indoctrination video, meaning conditioning them to, here's what to expect so that you can deliver exactly that. Here's when to expect it. Here's how it will be valuable to you so that you want to open it. And you condition them right away, letting them know, we're sending you right away this next juicy thing, so watch for it. And if you can get them to open the first or the second emails, then you deliver what you said you were going to give them, and it is truly valuable for them, then they will be much more likely to continue to open those emails. That doesn't always happen. And you learn more down the road, right? I mean, who hasn't made a mistake and looked back at what they wrote in an email 4 years ago or 5 years ago or 7, and hopefully you're not still sending out emails that you wrote 7 years ago and are not testing them and reading through them and changing the copy so that it converts better. But if you are, now's the chance to change that and catch it. But you need to really look at, is it relevant now to the customer that I'm serving? The much more savvy, educated, and curious customer that you've got, are you meeting that need? So if you don't get a lot of people opening your emails, and by that, let's say, they came in, they opted in asking for the information. You don't want to go by that industry standard. Say the industry standard is blah, 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 because it's low. The industry standard is low because that's what people are doing. They're sending out generic emails to everybody on their list, meaning a high school boy, right? For lack of a better word, a high school adolescent young man who wants sports-specific training in the mirror muscles, right? To get a date for prom or homecoming or whatever it might be. And then, the working young, woman starting a family who's using the kids' gym in the nursery and trying to get a workout in between diaper changes and hoping nobody calls her to the front desk to go and take care of that. And then there's the almost 50-something guy who suddenly was realizing, I got to get my act together. I need to lose weight. And they're working out and they're doing what they did in high school because that was the last time they really worked out. And it's not a fit, and they know it. They keep getting hurt. And then there's the postmenopausal woman who, knows she needs to work out. She's hearing it, she's seeing it, and she doesn't know what to do. She's not broken. She still wants to be sexy. She's still fairly active. It's just she's new to the weight room. She does not need chair aerobics, right? Or she does not need pink dumbbells. But, what about her? So all of those problems need a very specific conversation. If you were going to go to lunch with any one of those personas that I just gave you, you would have a very different conversation with each and every one of them. Well, your email needs to also have a very different conversation with each and every one of those people. So if you're just batching everyone into one group and you're not yet segmenting, it's time to start, because this is 2017. And if you're not doing it, the small studio and the boutique and the independent personal trainer who's delivering just to them, they're doing it. And you're also now competing with free videos on YouTube. People think they can just turn it on, and we know that's not a great fit. That random way of doing it isn't a great way to get a workout or pick your workout program, but people are doing it because I'll tell you why. We're going to talk about video today. Video is a grabber. And I want to talk to you about two things. Communicating, which is what we were just talking about. You're communicating every time you send an email. Now, you might be doing it badly, or you might be doing it really, really well, but you're doing it, right? So that is a form of communication. But have you ever had a miscommunication with somebody you work with? Maybe because of a text or an email, or you've had a miscommunication maybe with somebody you love in your family, your immediate family. And even that was face-to-face potentially. But notes, text, emails, think about it. Which of them, how do you communicate the best? By phone, potentially, right? So if you have the chance to, have some voice inflection and they can hear your tone of voice, how it's meant to be delivered, as opposed to imagine, and that means whatever impression they have of you, if they dislike you or they think you don't get along, or you have a different agenda than they do, they're going to interpret their own tone into an email. So that can be dangerous, right? And text and autocorrect, well, that's a nightmare. So you have to be really careful of that. But when we're talking about connecting, we're talking about something else entirely, right? So you go out on a first date with somebody, you communicate, right, all night, yeah, but you may not have a connection, and that means there's probably not going to be a second date, right? So we all have experienced that, and that's the difference between good email or just email and or great email. So if you can connect, if you know your customer better than anybody, and yet back to the example of those 5 different personas, not sure it was 5, but from the high school guy, the adolescent, to, the woman who's postmenopausal and she's aging, but she still wants to look good. She still thinks young. She just has no idea where to start, doesn't want to get hurt. And all of those in between that I mentioned, I think there was actually 4, that is a different conversation, and you're not going to connect with any one of them if you try to generically talk to all of them. It just doesn't work. So if you or anybody in your organization is telling you you have to be broader, you need to talk to more people, be more inclusive, it's absolutely the wrong way to deepen relationships with your communication so that you can connect when you're in a business of any kind, but particularly in fitness, where people feel vulnerable. The majority of people feel really vulnerable, and it doesn't matter if you're talking to a, say, college-age female or male for that matter, who look, like they're belong in the Olympics. They're just a prime, perfect specimen of the human body. They're sometimes the most vulnerable and don't feel really a lot of body confidence or self-image, self-efficacy, and they're really hard on themselves. So that outer shell really doesn't tell you anything at all, but you've got to be able to connect with people in a way that puts them at ease. And if you want people to trust you, which it takes, right, for them to buy from you, what's the best way of doing that? I mean, just think about, what's the best way to create a relationship? I mean, we've all had, maybe we haven't, but have you had ever a pen pal relationship? That becomes something because you're actually writing in handwriting, so different than email. And probably anybody less than or younger than 40 at this point probably never did have a pen pal actually that they were forced to write to. But liking you is a result of a lot of different factors I'm going to tell you. But remember that liking is a requirement for somebody to trust you, and that's a requirement for them to buy from you. I mean, I'm not going to buy something from somebody I don't trust, period. I can give you a perfect example. I am on Monday, the happen to be recording this on a weekend, but on Monday I'm going to go get my car serviced. And I've been going somewhere, and the last two times I went, their message was incongruent. And I don't think they're taking advantage of me. I think they're just overlooking, and they didn't write down what they had told me in my prior visit about, next time probably we're going to want to replace this. The next time you get your oil changed is probably soon enough, but here's what you're going to notice, if that starts going wrong. And, it's nothing, that's going to harm your car, or it's not dangerous, but, it could be, if it continues on, it's probably going to get worse. Great. Okay. So I took it back to get service, and they said, okay, your car is done, gave me back my keys, and hadn't done anything about it. And when I jumped in my car, there's 3 lights on the dashboard that I had told them were on when I went in were still on. And I said, did we take a look at these? Right? And so little things like that. I need to take a long road trip, and I need to feel confident that I can make it all the way across Nebraska twice and not be stranded. Doesn't that sound like a terrible song, right? Stranded in Nebraska. And I'm sorry if anybody's listening from Nebraska. So, but you've made that drive, I've got to guess. So I'm taking it to a place where I'm probably going to pay 3 to 4 times more. And yet I have to know, right? I have to know it's taken care of, right? And your customers like that too. If they doubt a personal trainer. So here's what I'm going to say to you. If you really think you're better than your competition, you need to be considering video. And that's what we're going to talk a little bit more about. Listen to these statistics. So if liking you is really important, I think we can agree that it is, that your customers have to like you, or your prospects, before they become customers, have to like you. 7%, this will resonate or ring a bell from probably high school speech, but 7% of the words that you use are responsible for people liking you. And 38% of people liking you is attributed to your voice. So your voice tone, your inflectuations, that kind of thing. So, I mean, I could be really turning somebody off and you probably stopped listening by now. But it might be, that the way I'm talking is actually part of why you tune in. Maybe we kind of resonate, you kind of get it, you kind of like the way, and it happens with so many things. In one of the early courses I did 3 years ago, still a great seller, about 7 things that you actually need to do when you're with somebody, for sure, but if you're not with them, you have to do this one, is rate of speech. You have to make sure that you're matching the rate of speech. And if the person you're talking to is of a different ethnicity than you have to really slow it down, because they may not be able to flip-flop, and it takes kind of an extra ear. It takes more energy for them to focus on something that's not in their native language, if it's in their second, not in their primary language. So 7% of someone liking you is the words you use. 38% is the voice inflectuations. And anybody, even if they don't understand it, they can hear that. So they can hear that you're, being playful or joyful, right? I mean, maybe you right now can hear that I'm smiling. right? And they can also hear, that you are enthusiastic, you are patient, and there of course is the pausing. Are you pausing, or you're just like rambling on and getting right to the point and you're in a hurry, or are you waiting, and you put pauses in there so that you can leave space for them to think or to respond or to ask a question. So that leaves a lot, right? That leaves 55% for those of you math whizzes. I would not have had that sitting out there where you are. But that's 55% to everything else. That's the nonverbal communication that you kind of send off. Even if you don't realize that you're doing it, that's the eye contact. That's the turning your head. That's the tilting your head. I tend to do that. I don't know why. Always in a picture or a video, my head is tilted. I need to get my head screwed on right. But are you using your hands? Using your hands to gesture while you're talking. So that dramatic kind of embellishment, sometimes that works for some people, might be intimidating for other people. So, okay, think of all that. Where's the biggest impact? It's the nonverbal communication that you put out, right? So let me ask you this. When you talk to someone, are you better on the phone or in email? And I'm thinking that most of you are going to say you're probably better connecting with someone on the phone. So right now, don't think of this as, calling a customer that you don't have yet, like a cold call. It's not that. Think of if you were going to talk to somebody that you love. I mean, do you want to send them an email, or do you want to talk to them on the telephone, right? So there's that step. And then, are you better if you can get them on in person, or better on the phone? And go back to somebody that you want and have a relationship with. Which would you rather do? Talk to them on the telephone or be with them, right? So the relationship is probably stronger if you actually want to be with them. I'm just going to put that out there. So if you can't get somebody to come to you, so many of us will say we offer complimentary consultations and or mandatory consultations for somebody to get started and get an orientation to be safe the very first time. However you put it, so that you get them to show up ideally and get a confirmation and all of that. If you can't get them to come in and take advantage of that free consultation, because that's a leap, that's a big leap for someone who doesn't really know you yet, who knows of you, but who feels intimidated themselves in coming into your environment. And by the way, I'm at 18 minutes right now, so I totally blew 10 to 15 minutes out of the water. Just to let you know, I didn't let that go unseen. All right. But if you can't get somebody on the phone, video is your best second choice. And right now, it's free on every platform. And sure, you could choose to pay for it, to upgrade to different hosting sites for your video, but you really don't need to, because with YouTube, you can keep it private, you can put it unlisted, and or you can make it public. And you would probably have different video purposes that you would use each one of those. But nobody's going to be able to find the private video, and all you'll do is email it directly to someone. If you want it unlisted, people may be able to find that if they're your subscribers, but an unlisted video is going to, not be found by the public and still valuable. And on Facebook, why do you think Facebook added video? Because they know they want a better user experience, and they know that video is a better way to communicate. And on Instagram, you can also do video now. So think about all the platforms that are free for you to really relate and communicate and connect with someone. So if you really do believe you're better than your competition, and you care for people, and you want to relay that fact that you want to help them, video messaging is a natural fit for that. Here's something to keep in mind. Human facial expression of emotion is universal. So, even if you're scrolling through and your audio doesn't play as you are talking in your Facebook, it's almost, irresistible to, it's something you can't resist to push that button to play the audio. We can read your emotion without having to do that, but that's what pulls them in so that they will. The videos that people respond to the most. So if you're thinking, okay, you got to get all made up, you got to set up this studio, you can, right? And if you're going to do a lot of video, you may want to, but don't get all carried away with that and think, okay, it's got to be perfect. I got to have some lights. I got to have this. Because the videos that people respond to the most, and I'll tell you this from my personal page, my business pages, and it's the simple videos, the one shot from my phone, not the one from my Sony HD on the tripod with lights and with a white backdrop that I have sitting in my living room, right? So I can't ever have company over. But it's the sweaty, messy hair, still in a visor after a run, and real. People want to see you. It's not just when I'm made up for flipping 50 TV shows or just I've showered for the day and, with makeup on and hair done. But it's being you in your environment. So my dog walks in and out, sometimes gets in the way of the camera, and actually they love that. The comments come and the engagement goes higher because it's like, I love that dog and he's so cute. He wants to star in the show. And those comments probably are more abundant than questions or comments about the workout, and that is okay, right? Because they feel like now they know you. They want to know you personally. You have to connect, not just communicate. If you always look perfect, if you are always in your Lululemon, if you always, you get the idea, right? If you always come across as you're perfect and you probably are in better shape than they are, you're not very approachable. So it's okay just to wing it, put a video in your email that's one of these casual videos and let your subject line reflect it. Like in parentheses, video inside, watch this, and or do this workout with me. Let me show you one error people make. If you indicate there's a video in your email, in your subject line, you will get a much higher percentage of opens. I promise you, even if the subject line is off target for the exact opener. So do be careful with that. Start segmenting that list, right? So if you're not creating video right now, my advice to you is to start, and it's free. Most all people are not nearly as good at writing a message, writing copy as they are at communicating verbally face to face. Your emails will be opened at a much higher rate. If you're delivering good content, what you'll be doing is conditioning them to open. And as long as you know what your customers truly want and how to solve a problem that they have, creating good video is easy. So my call to action for you today is to grab your camera, grab your cell phone and shoot a video and then post it. But you want to be always doing a call to action when you're doing that. So if you're a newbie, you're not quite sure what to do, grab the free video training that we give to all our subscribers. So it's just an added part of after you opt in. Go to fitnessmarketingmastery.com and just opt in if you're not already a subscriber. If you are, you should have gone through that video course and you're going to get the basics. And if that isn't enough, or it's not in depth enough, and you're really looking for a campaign that will help you grow your email list and begin to segment into different buckets of that high school athlete, that young mom who just wants to, have a spare few minutes for herself, and the guy still exercising like he was in high school and knowing he's hurting his shoulder every time he does it, and that woman who wants to know how to get started but doesn't want to be treated like she's old. She just is new to this exercise. So if you want to communicate with them better, and grow your list before the holidays hit so you can optimize the number of sales that you do before the holidays, and you want to prepare yourself for having a larger list and already being the expert and having credibility, which is one thing I didn't mention that video will do. You're going to attract the kind of people that you're going to love to work with. You're going to repel the others. It's a win-win for both of you when that happens. So you're going to be the trainer of choice with the audience who's on your email list. And know that all you have to do is nurture them. Reach out to me for a private consultation if you want some help doing that. This is the beginning of October. You have 90 days. That's all it takes if you have a targeted, consistent campaign that gets repeatable and consistent results. So look forward to hearing from you. Find me at fitnessmarketingmastery.com.